Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be covering the subject of on-ramping coins and taking them across to your MetaMask wallet. So typically when you on-ramp assets, you need to use a centralized exchange. There are other methods, including peer-to-peer, but the most commonly used is a centralized exchange. So you can see that I'm using Bybit here, where I've got a nominal amount of money purely for this example. And what I'm going to do is use my debit card to quickly buy some assets. Okay, there are a multitude of ways. In particular, you can also use SEPA to transfer some money and send it across from your bank. But in today's example, what I'm going to be doing is just buying with one click buy. So I've created my Bybit account. I've done a minimal amount of KYC, KYC being know your customer, where you have to provide some details about your nationality, who you are, etc. And I'm just going to hit one click buy. So what I'm going to buy today is with 50 euros, and I'm going to buy the equivalent, which is going to be 53 USDT, and I'm going to take that from my pre-configured bank card. Okay, so I'm going to buy it with my euros. I'm going to hit OK. So you'll have to configure your own card, add it to the system, and effectively it's going to ask me for some information about my last three security digits, and finally it's going to ask me to confirm the transaction on my device. So I'm just going across to my device. I'm going to validate the transaction that I do want to buy these assets. I'm going to confirm the payment, and my assets are now being transferred across. Okay, so my transaction is processing. I may as well just click on assets overview. It's been purchased. So now I've got 52 US dollars here. You can see them represented here. What I'm going to do is a very, very simple exercise. Is I am going to withdraw some of these assets to my Binance Smart Chain. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on my wallet and make sure that I've got a limited amount of BNB. Hopefully that should cover the transaction cost. Okay, remember each chain will typically have its own coin. If it's an Ethereum layer 2 like Arbitrum or Matic, they'll have their own coin to pay for the transactions. But for every time you transact on the blockchain, you will need to pay. So for Binance, the coin is BNB. I can see here that I've got 0.003. So I'm just going to send some assets there. So I'm just going to hit on withdraw. And I'm going to copy my wallet address from here. Like we said, this is like your email address. So I'm going to copy that here. I'm going to paste my wallet address. And I'm going to do my chain type BSC20. And I'm going to do $15. Okay, I'm going to hit confirm. And it's going to ask me for some further details, including a verification code and my two-factor authentication. So for that, it's going to send me an email, which it already has, and the code, I'm just going to enter it here, and I'm going to enter my two-factor authentication as well. So for Bybit, remember, use Google Authenticator if you can to protect your account from people. Okay, so now I will see this in my wallet, and hopefully very shortly I will have USDT showing up here. In the meantime, if you want to add additional coins to your wallet, so for example, here I can see that in my MetaMask I've got BNB and USDT. Obviously there is a great many coins more. So for example, if I go to coinmarketcap.com, and I go to, for example, USDC, I'll be able to get the contract address for USDC on Binance, right? So I'm going to click here, and each coin has got a contract address, right? That's the main takeaway here. that determines the validity, or that determines what coin it is. Okay, so here you can see all these coins, and they will each have, depending on what chain they're on, they will have a given contract address that identifies them as such. So you can see my 15 USDT got here, but for the sake of this example, I'm also going to import USDC, and now I've got, obviously I've got 0 because I haven't sent any, but I've got my USDT here ready to transact. Okay, so that's getting money from a centralized exchange to my MetaMask wallet. Again, if we want to go the other way, I can take my USDT and send it back to my Bybit account. In that case, what I need to do is type USDT here, and it's this coin here, right? I'm going to hit deposit. Now I know that my assets are on Binance Smart Chain, so I'm just going to select the Binance Smart Chain. This is very important because it's depending on what chain you use, it's going to generate a different address. Okay, so I'm going to copy that here, and I'm going to go back to my MetaMask, and I'm going to send my USDT to that address that I've just copy pasted from here to here. I'm going to send the max. I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to confirm it. Okay, so hopefully in a few, so you can see the transaction is pending, and that's confirmed. For the sake of this transaction, to understand the blockchain a bit more, we can click on here and we can copy the transaction ID, right? Or we can even view it on the Block Explorer. Let's just view it on the Block Explorer. And on the Block Explorer, you'll be able to see details about your transactions. You're transferring 15 Binance Smart Chain USDT to this address. You can see that the transaction is a success. It's confirmed 6 times. Yeah, it's had 6 block confirmations. And if we look at it here, we should hopefully, when we look at our assets, we should be able to see 50 USDT. This might take a while, but the assets will show up here. If we just give it a minute, it might require a few more block confirmations, but that is essentially the idea. So if we just wait a little second, that's confirmed. So let's just refresh the page. And sometimes, like you can see in this example, it's just taken a while. You know, if you want to have a look at the history, you can also have a look at the history of deposits. So deposit, all here you can see. So it's pending, it require, and here you can see, right? So it's had 6 confirmations. To be validated, it needs to be confirmed 15 times. So we can go back to the Block Explorer, refresh it here. You can see that it's now had 33 block confirmations, which means that this should, in theory, now show up. So it's got 35, so it's detected that. And if I go to my assets and the assets overview, you can now see that I've got my assets clearly here, back. So here we've transferred assets to my wallet and assets from my wallet back to the exchange. There is obviously also a way to off-ramp and get it back into your bank, which we won't be covering today. But yes, the main purpose of today's lesson was to understand how to use your debit card, or well, you can also do peer-to-peer trading, like I said, or you can do a bank transfer or bank card. There is a great many options, but the important thing for me is that you leave as little money as possible in a centralized exchange, right? Centralized exchange, it's effectively like your bank. You know, with the FTX collapses and so on, exchanges are now more prone to show proof of assets, meaning that they can, you know, that they have to prove that they've got what they've got. But, you know, as we know from FTX, it was showing one thing on the interface, and actually, well, they didn't have the assets to cover the people that deposited. So in the end, there's been a lot of people that have been left without their original allocations or whatever they had on their page. So my recommendation to you is that you get your assets out of exchanges. And there's a very, very common saying in crypto, which is not your keys, not your crypto. Here in this exchange, you haven't got keys, you've got a password, right? A user account, password, two-factor authentication, whatever you want, fine. But you don't have that, you're not actually holding these assets yourself. These are being, the custodian of these assets is the exchange, which in a bull market, it's all good, it's all fine. But you can have collapses. You have the Celsius collapse, you have the FTX collapse. So be careful where you leave your assets, right? I wouldn't leave a huge amount on here, mostly cold storage. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope that was useful. Any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you.